Here's how to find a pale garden in Minecraft. First, pale gardens are only in dark forests, so stay there. You want to get the weirdness value as close to 0.66 or negative 0.66 as possible, so the PV value is closer to peaks and high. You should also have a continentalness over 0.3. If the erosion is 2 or 3, plateau biomes can spawn. If the previous guidelines are met and humidity is 4 and temperature is 2, a pale garden can generate. Here's how to find every cave biome in Minecraft. To avoid surface biomes like the forest and desert, make sure you are at least 26 blocks below the surface. If you need copper in the new update, gypsum caves are 26 to 116 blocks below the surface with continentalness values higher than 0.8. If you want axolotls and glowberries, the lush caves are found with the same depth but with a humidity higher than 0.7. Lastly, if you want infinite XP, the deep dark only generates in high biomes because you must be more than 128 blocks below the surface with the erosion values below negative 0.4. Here's how to find green dyes in Minecraft. For lime dye, you can either cook some pickles in warm oceans or combine green and white dye. For green dye, an easy method is to find a potted cactus in an igloo basement or a certain entrance room in trial chambers. If you can't find either of these, your last resort is deserts and badlands. In the noise router, you want the temperature above 0.6, where only hot biomes like deserts, badlands, and warm oceans can spawn. How to find a cherry grove in Minecraft. The weirdness value should be as close as 0.66 so the PV is either peaks or high. Continentalness should be as high as possible. Also, if the weirdness is negative 0.66 instead, a meadow will spawn, so avoid that. Now you want the humidity as 1 and temperature as 2, and you'll find your 1 to pink wood. How to find mangrove swamps in Minecraft. First, you want an erosion higher than about 0.5 with the PV as low as possible, basically the generation requirements of a normal swamp. However, if the temperature is higher than about 0.4, mangrove swamps will replace them. How to find every nether biome in Minecraft. The nether waste is the most common biome, so walking 5 minutes in the nether will lead you there if you didn't spawn there. Crimson forests and basalt deltas are dependent on temperature, with crimson being the highest and basalt being the lowest. The soul sand valley and warp forests are dependent on humidity or vegetation, with soul sand valleys with the lowest and warp forests at the highest. What's the best mod in Minecraft? You might think sodium because it makes Java actually playable, not enough animations because it allows you to see if you're actually holding a map or eating, just enough items because it makes the recipe book useless, or apple skin because it actually tells you how fat you are. The real answer is none. You don't need to play with mod, just enjoy the vanilla game. Unless your computer is above average and use sodium. How to get sea pickles in Minecraft. Oceans rely on a statistic called continentalness, where it should be low but not too low or a mushroom island will spawn. If you get the temperature statistic as high as possible, warm oceans will spawn. Sea pickles generate rarely in colonies or in coral reefs abundantly. How to find trial chambers in Minecraft. A popular method is to find big caves where finding unusual flat walls of deep slate indicate a trial chamber. The starting point is always at y-40 or -20, but most rooms are in y-20 to 0. Trial chamber generation is restricted to a 34 by 34 chunk from 0, where one will always spawn in each region unless a deep dark interferes. A better method is cartographers for 12 emeralds and a compass. However, this also has some flaws because in Java Edition, 1 of every 3 journeyman cartographers does not sell a trial chamber map. Since the villager is leveled up, refreshing is not possible, and the same villager will always lead to the same trial chamber, meaning a new cartographer made in the same area will offer a different trial chamber.